There we go. Guys, welcome. We're gonna have a great meeting today. We've got Randy and MK here. I'm really excited for this. We talk a lot on the Breakfast Club about creating opportunities, right? You heard us this morning talking about making things make sense for you financially, right? Things like that. And what happens when we get really good at creating the opportunity? We actually have to deliver. You know what I mean? We actually have to get creative. So that's what we're going to get into today. But before we do that, how many of you guys have been hearing buzzwords like market crash, right? Market instability, market slowdown? How many of you guys have been hearing that?
Yeah.
Hey, Cooley, just FYI, because it's gonna be really good. Your volume, I don't know if it's because you're standing farther back, your sound is more distant.
Okay.
It sounds like you're in the bathroom.
Maybe I am.
He's like,
No.
fine, I'll start over.
Hold on.
All that tile.
All right, you tell me if that's better.
That's perfect.
better.
Great. So market slowdown, all of you guys have heard these buzzwords. Do you guys actually believe it?
Hell no.
No.
Yeah. Depending on what news channel you watch, you guys could be like in different mindsets, right? But I don't believe that we're in a market slowdown right now. I don't believe that we're in a market crash. And I kind of want to make my case about that, right? Anytime there's adversity in a marketplace, agents take a step back and they do nothing, right? It's just human nature, okay? So I want to make a case in point. You guys all know Amanda Weller, Marsha. Okay, she came to me about 30 days ago, and I actually have video of that meeting. Amanda came to us 30 days ago after being in the business for 2 years, saying, and Amanda closed maybe 2 deals, 3 deals in that 2 years, came to us saying, hey, I'm ready to go all in. During a market shift, during a market slowdown, by the way, during a time where agents are like, the sky is falling, there's no business to be had. She came to us, we had a meeting. Michelle, can you play the clip of that meeting for us?
I thought you never asked.
Wait.
What's your sole purpose in this army?
To do whatever you tell me, drill sergeant.
God damn it, Gump! You're a goddamn genius. That's the most outstanding answer I've ever heard.
That was our meeting with Amanda Weller, basically, right? I'm ready to go all in. What do I need to do? Answer what? Just tell me what to do, right? Tell me what I need to do. And we had that conversation. 30 days later, Michelle, next slide, please. 30 days later, during a market slowdown, when there's no business to be had, right? When nobody's out there.
Screenshot, but I'll read.
She's killing us. Good for her.
Yeah. To paint the picture a little more clearly, I've been making 25 contacts per day for the last month since I really started tracking my actual numbers on the daily tracking sheets. It takes me on average 4 hours a day to accomplish this. 25 a day at 20 prospecting days was 500 contacts in the past month. 4 hours a day at 20 prospecting days was 80 hours of dialing in the past month. From this effort, I set 11 listing appointments and 17 buyer consultations. Those appointments and consultations have generated 5 listings, 8 new buyers, and 2 referrals to other states. And that's all from 1 month of doing the work. So more of the story.
5 new listings, 8 new buyers in a market shift, in a slowdown, when nobody's out there buying houses right now, when nobody's selling, when nothing's happening. Now, I did the math on that, right? When you talk about the panic, what nobody's buying, nobody's selling, translation, I'm not making any money, right? Meltdown. Michelle, I did the math on that based on a $500,000 price point, 3% commission. Michelle, can you pull that calculation up?
Sure can.
What does that say, guys? Based on a $500,000 price point, those 5 listings and those 8 buyers, that's $195,000 in commission. Right. I'll say that again. That's $195,000 in commission in 30 days when nobody's out there selling, when nobody's out there buying, right? And Amanda, you were able to do this because you committed to 2 things. What were those two things?
I committed to getting those 25 contacts every day and tracking it.
Summarize that into two things.
Two things. I did the work, and
Mindset in action.
yeah, I took massive action. Oh yeah, I upped my
She-
skill set and I
Action.
took massive action. Yeah.
Committed to high level skill set, committed to massive action,
Yeah.
right? And those are the results. And so when you guys hear these buzzwords like market shift and recession and nobody's out there doing deals right now, understand that we're not in a housing crash yet, a financial crash yet. What it is, it's the reaction from agents who don't have a skill set, who are afraid, who are timid, who are not taking massive action, who have been spoiled over the course of the past 5 years, or they just don't know what to do. So what happens when agents don't know how to motivate, when agents don't know how to put deals together, when agents don't know how to get creative, you get a market slowdown, right? That's what ends up happening. Would you guys all agree with me on that? Right? Sellers don't want to sell because they think it's a bad time because of interest rates. Buyers don't want to buy because they think their payment's going to be too high and they've got a certain price point and all this other stuff. And we've got to learn to dig deep, have the right conversations with people and create solutions, right? That's where we get into the how, right? The how for us, from an opportunity standpoint, is the Breakfast Club. Create opportunities every day. Say keywords like make things make sense for you financially. We're going to learn how to do that in the living room and actually back up what the fuck we're talking about on the phones. Okay. So I hope you guys are all excited because I know some of you guys have called me and said, Cooley, I got this listing appointment. I got 10 appointments this week. Now I said make sense financially several times. What do I do now? Well, we've got some answers for you today in the form of MK Bruce. How many of you guys know MK?
Yes.
Yeah.
MK was a superstar for the
awesome.
Washington Cougars, went to the NFL and did some great things there. Badass, right? Guild Mortgage, now one of the top 1% at Guild Mortgage here in Washington State. He's our own. We love him to death. Powerhouse. And when it comes to solutions, he's got it. We've also got Randy Shackley. How many of you guys know who she is?
Let's go, Randy.
So Randy Shackley also tried to join the NFL, but they didn't have a girls' league, right?
Canadian
Tried out
league,
for the
the
men's
Canadian
league, made the team, found out she was Canadian, wouldn't let her join, got into real estate instead, and now she is one of the top producers in Washington State, top 1%, Snohomish County, badass. She looks good, talks fast, and she thinks fast, and she gets shit done. And these guys are going to talk to you today. So, guys, can we give it up for these guys, please?
Let's go.
Yeah. All right.
Randy.
Randy and MK, all you. Floor's yours.
Awesome. Randy, let's go ahead and have you start off like we were talking about.
All right, guys. So I just, I guess first and foremost, I want to give you the encouragement that Amanda has demonstrated, which this is a mindset game right now. Okay. So our market is going to be dictated by motivation. You need to make sure that in your pre-qualification questions for both buyers and sellers, you are asking about their motivation and that you understand that intrinsically, because it's going to be one of the levers that you're going to be able to pull to get deals done. Okay. So I want you guys, if you don't have a pen and paper, I would encourage you to grab one. I'm going to go fast because for some of you guys, this is going to be a review. And for some of you, it's going to be new. Hopefully Michelle's going to record the call so that for the people that I'm going to fast for, we can review it. But I'm going to take you through a real live example of a seller that I have to actually meet with this afternoon and dial in a price. And it's a different price than what we were talking about when we originally got together back in July. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can see exactly how I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to take you through the process that I'm going to go through with that seller. Chad, are you okay to role play with me as if you are the seller?
Yes, ma'am.
Boom. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys see that?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, hang on.
There
How
we
about
go.
now?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So can you see this MLS cart that I've got set up here?
We do.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm going to do the unsexiest CMA that you've ever seen. Okay, I'm going to, no, there's no, there's no technology here. This is straight out of the MLS. Here is my listing. Oh, pardon me. No, that's not it. I thought I reordered these. Okay, this is my listing. So this listing actually expired back in August. See that? And we went out and we met and we talked about buying them another house. And now I have a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,150 square foot house on 0.42 acres that I have to do the comps for and present this price to my clients, okay? Do you see their old price? That's about
975.
it's $300,000 different than what we're going to come on at. Okay. So this is a good example of a tough conversation. So Chad, pretend that you're the seller with me for a minute.
Okay,
Okay. So Chad, I'm calling because I've just finished the photographs and we're about to bring your home to the market. And I promised you that I would do this 48-hour market review, didn't I?
yes,
Yes. So I've done the research now and I want to present the comparables in your marketplace now. Do you have time to sit in front of a computer with me?
sure, yeah,
Okay, so I sent these to you, just a couple, I'm gonna send them to you now, actually, guys. It's important that you do this in real time, because if you send this stuff in advance, you give them time to get upset about it and try and fight you on price. You need to make this presentation real time, okay? So I've just sent Chad the comps, and I'm gonna say, hey, pull these up with me real quick.
okay, I've got
So
it.
you know that you've got a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,150 square foot home. It's on 18,000 square feet in the Linwood area. I want to show you what's been happening in the market around you. Okay.
Okay,
Okay. So I want to do this in a single line. Okay. So first of all, guys, I want to draw your attention to this list. You see my status list here?
yeah,
What do I have? I have 1 pending. I have 5 sold, and I have 4 what?
I canceled.
Cancel.
Yeah. What does that tell you?
There are some that didn't sell.
There's some homes right now that are not going to sell. Okay. So I'm going to take Chad through this process with me. All right, Chad. So the first home I want to show you is actually pending. Now, the good news is they went pending. And can you see this number, Chad?
yeah.
How many days?
I actually can't see
Nine.
that, I'm blind.
9,
Okay, it's
Chad,
okay.
9.
9, sorry,
Okay. We're going to do this. We're going to do this in concert. You guys are all going to answer me. Okay. So how many days did it take for this home to sell?
9
9.
days.
9,
9.
9. And it has the same number of bedrooms as you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
yep,
Same
Yeah.
number of bathrooms?
Yes.
Yep.
Would you say the square footage is similar?
Very
Yeah.
similar.
Yes.
How about the lot size?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, can you see the price that they listed at?
Yep.
Perfect. Now I came to the call prepared, Chad. So I did give Mary Shea a call. I wanted to know where they settled in relation to the list price. And the good news is they are at price. So it's very likely that that home is going to settle at $550,000.
okay,
Sound good? Okay. Now you can imagine that this is going to be one of the comps that an appraiser would rely on when they look at the value of our house. Would you agree?
yeah, I mean, I would assume so.
Yeah. So we are going to have to take this data into account, aren't we?
Yeah,
I know it's not what you want to hear, Chad, but I promise to be your consultant. So I want to give you the most cutting edge information so that you can make an informed decision to come on at the right price. Fair enough?
fair enough.
Okay. So I'm looking at this one now. This is actually a very similar home to yours as well. It is short 1 bedroom, isn't it? How many bedrooms does this one have?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it has, let me see here.
2.
2 bedrooms.
2.
Yeah. And we're down about 300 square feet. So you guys are about 300 square feet more, which is good. Lot size is
Yeah.
a little bit smaller than yours. Now this is an older sale, and what do we know has changed since March?
Well, I think the market's changed a little bit, obviously.
It's shifted a little bit. Yeah. So they listed this one at $499,995 and they sold it at $550. So that was a pretty good outcome. I would hope to get a better result for you guys.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So this one here in Linwood, now this one sold back in August, 3 bedrooms, 1. I'm going to go faster now, guys, but you can, depending on like how much coaching you think your client knows, you can go as quickly or as slowly through this process as you want to. If they need a lot of time to marinate and adjust these prices, go through it slowly. If they're pretty quick decision makers and you sort of trust that they're going to list at your price no matter what, you can fast forward this. But do you see what this is doing, guys? Do you see how
Yes.
I'm taking
Yeah.
them through the process
Yeah.
of seeing
Yes.
what they're versus it's different than me saying, hey, Chad, we met 3 months ago and the market's changed. So I want to list your house at 600 when he was expecting 650.
But the
Mhm.
biggest thing
That's
is take
gonna-
the emotion, take the emotion.
Right.
out.
That's going to create a whole bunch of stuff. But if I take him through
More-
all the facts,
More importantly, she's conditioning me to say it. She's conditioning me to say all of the
Yeah.
factors of why the price is what it is. And with everything that she brings as far as evidence, all she's doing is solidifying the fact that we're making the right decision. I'm not crazy as your agent, right? This is
Right.
not me. This is a factual, what's going on in your marketplace, and that's important.
This is the 48-hour snapshot. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward through the comps now. I'm going to take you to this one. So Chad, this home also has 3 bedrooms, right?
Yeah,
1 bathroom like yours.
yep.
It's 1,144 square feet. Now it does have a smaller lot size. But you know, they listed closer to that number that you and I were originally talking about. We talked about 650. They were on at 620.
Uh-huh.
And what happened to this listing? Can you guys see that?
It canceled.
Yeah. And what's worse is look at how many days they were on the market.
Right.
129.
Yeah. And I know that that's not what you and Riley want to do. I know that you guys need to be sold a little bit faster than that. So the
Yeah.
question I have to ask you, Chad, is based on all the information that we've gone through now, looking at the competition, looking at the homes that have not sold, and looking at the price that Mary's listing is pending for, what price shall we set on your home to create value in the eyes of the buyer and get them to choose your listing over the competitors?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just know that we don't want to take less than what we have to, obviously.
Of course. I completely agree. And I'm here to fight the good fight for you and get you the best price. However, my concern is that if I come on the market too high, you're going to get no showings at all. And then it's going to be really difficult for me to negotiate with no bodies, right? To get you the price that you're
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah,
So I need us to work together to look at what the market is saying about price so that we can get the traffic through the door so that I can negotiate the best possible price.
okay.
Okay. So I know we talked about 650,
Right.
but do you think the market is still supporting 650 based on what we've reviewed?
Well, I mean, not based on what you're saying, but can't we just try something close to that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I want to try to get you the best possible price. My concern is that if we try too high, we're going to end up like these canceled listings. And of course, more days on market. What do you think the buyers think when they see more days on market?
That they can get a good price.
Right, that they're going to negotiate against you, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. So based on what I'm seeing here, I'm going to recommend a price of 600,000. Chad, are we okay to go on at 600 on Thursday?
Yeah, is it possible that we can get more than that?
It is. I mean, this is the great thing. If you empower me to give that price from the beginning, there's a much higher opportunity for us to get more than one buyer interested at 600 than if we go at 650 and that buyer picks you and nickels and dimes us down.
Ooh.
So
Hey, Michelle,
600 is the right price?
Yeah.
Okay,
Michelle, can you mute that
let's go ahead
person?
and do that.
Sorry.
Hey, Chad, if you,
Yeah.
so go ahead and get pissed off, get angry with me and give me some like
Okay,
tough
yeah,
objections
yeah,
too for, yeah.
Sure. Randy, that's just not enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if we have to take 600, we just assume not sell it.
I completely understand that. Obviously, in this particular situation, you and Riley are already in the next house. If you don't want to sell, Chad, I'm not here to force your hand. However,
Well, I mean, we'll just rent it out.
yeah, and you can absolutely do that. Now, based on the conversation that we had before, and this is where I'm telling you guys, like, motivation is key. It sounded like you guys didn't want to be landlords, right? And what's more than that is, real estate cycles are about 8 to 10 years. Okay. So if we are in a slide, if we are in an actual slide here, I have to ask you as your consultant, where you want to sell in the downturn. Because when you move out of this house as your primary residence, you know that you will become taxable on year 3, right? You only get to take your capital gains exemption for 2 of the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we have to ask ourselves, are rates going up or are rates going down? Do you know the answer to that?
No.
And I don't know I don't have a crystal ball either. All I can do is give you the advice that I need to give you to make the best decisions in the market that we're in. And you and Riley had previously told me that you don't want to be landlords, right?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Randy, if I can't get at least 625 for this property, then I mean, I'm just gonna have to, because I can't afford to take a $50,000 loss on this property and still manage to do the things that I want to do.
I completely get it. Now, if you end up in a cash flow negative position and the home value continues to go down, you can see that we might be in a situation where your loss goes up, right?
How so?
Well, if the price goes down, and so if you guys are taking a hit on it every single month because the mortgage payment that you have is higher than the rent that you can get, or God forbid it sits empty for 3 months, or you get a tenant in there that's not paying the rent, and at the same time the value of the home is going down because the rates are going up, you could see that your exposure could be worse.
Yeah. Yeah,
At the
I don't
same
know.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, the market could improve, right? And it could go down. But again, we need to just operate in the market that we're in today, Chad.
Okay.
So
So,
let's go on at 600, hope that 2 buyers fall in love with it, and maybe we can coach that price up. If we can't, we know that we listed the property in line with what the market is saying. Because I don't want you guys to sit there twiddling your thumbs, have no action at all, and be upset with me.
This is Miranda.
okay.
Okay.
Miranda's not paying attention. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hey,
Miranda
Miranda.
needs to be.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So Chad, do you guys need to think about it, or are we going to come on at 600?
Yeah, well, for time's sake, we'll come on at 600. I'm not gonna keep
Excellent.
beating you up.
Yeah, I'm gonna
how
send you-
I like how certain you are and how you're kind of detached emotionally from the outcome, right? Which is hugely important, and I think that most people miss. Most people want to apologize for the market when they have to have that conversation, and you're of the mindset that I don't create the circumstances. I'm just here to put you in the best situation possible in these circumstances, right? And you know what? Maybe it's not the right time, and I'm sure that you would have dived a little bit deeper into what I needed the money for, right? You would have had all that
Yes.
information. How can I get creative and put that deal together, make it make sense, try to close the gap
Well,
a little bit, right?
The context of this is you guys have already bought the house and you've already told me you're not
Sure.
carrying it. So I know you're selling it, but the objection I
Right.
would like you to give me is, well, I'm going to hire my friend. He said he'll get me 650.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
you know what? I've got a buddy from church, Randy, who said
Yep.
that they can give me 650. They've
Okay.
taken a look at the property already.
I completely appreciate that, Chad. And so I'm just a little bit confused. Did he go through this same exercise with you that you and I have just done this morning?
No, but he sold homes before.
Yeah, I agree with that. At the same time, he might not have gone through this last 48-hour review, right? And we just saw 5 homes that are going to be the comparables that the appraiser is going to rely upon when he assigns the value to your house. So even if he does get a price for you that's 650,000, do you think the appraisers are going to agree with that value?
I don't
Based
know how
on the
he's gonna
evidence
do
we
it.
looked at?
I don't
Well,
know how
based on
he's
the-
gonna do it.
Okay, so based on the evidence we looked at, you're probably not going to get the appraisal, even if he can wave his magic wand and trick a buyer into paying above market.
Okay,
So is it fair to say that he's probably going to be looking at the same market data that you and I are?
yeah,
Because what I would hate to have happen, Chad, and it happens all the time in my career, is somebody comes in and promises you the world and you believe it, and they take advantage of your motivation and they manipulate the data to say what they needed to say to get your listing. I'm not going to do that to you. I hope that you can see why we went through this process together, so that you know that I'm looking at the same data that you are, and I'm on your side, and I absolutely want you and Riley to have the best possible price.
Love that.
okay.
Okay,
Ask me to
so
sign,
let's
Randy.
do the right thing and sign the listing paperwork at 600, so that we can get the maximum number of buyers through your home through the fall season. Fair enough?
That's great. Yeah, fair enough. Good job.
Okay, so
I
let's
like
do
that. I like that. Now, guys, did you guys pick up on what Randy did there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She walked you
change
through
the-
it.
You can change the person, you can't change the market, right?
Right.
You can change the person, what you can't change are the facts. And she kind of just brought me back into real world, because when you are going over these price reductions, they are emotional, they get emotional. And the only way that you battle that emotion and bring them back into the real world is, you can't get mad at me, you've got to get mad at the market, right? That's the source of your frustration. It's not me. You know what I mean? These are the facts and you have to agree with them. And in getting me to agree to, and notice it was questions. It wasn't her telling me shit over and over again. It was her asking me questions, right? Do you think the appraiser's gonna be taking a look at these same facts, right? These same statistics, these same comps, right? Getting me to agree to that is conditioning me into going, it's the market. Go ahead, Randy, sorry.
No, that's great. So what I avoided, guys, was making it personal, right? Like if I start apologizing for the market, they then see me as their kicking dog, their whipping dog. And I'm not responsible actually for what happened in the market. My responsibility is to always give real-time information about what I have and what I'm looking at and to tell the truth. And if I tell the truth, I have respect and I have trust. And that's really like, those are really the only things that we're trading on here. We have to keep our respect and our trust intact with our clients. And that's how we're able to direct their financial decisions.
I think another big thing is a lot of people just send a bunch of data and expect the seller to just sit there and cycle through it. The biggest thing you said was real-time data. And then you're stuck, they're on a Zoom, they're on or right next to you and they can see it side by side. You can't run from that data, right? And then you can overcome all the objections in real time.
100%. So what I think I've seen a lot of fellow agents do, and this would be categorically setting yourself up for an epic fail, would be to do the CMA and email it over and say, hey, Chad, this is what the market says now about your home. I'm estimating a value of 600,000. Let's talk later. So then what I've done is I've upset him, right? I've not shown him, I've told him. And then he's spending the time from the minute that he sees that email until we get on the phone to come up with his rebuttals and start selling me on why I'm wrong. And he's emotional. We have to do it in real time. And I have to be like the loving, like voice of reason, super calm, don't take it personally. And just, again, refer back to his motivation to get him where he's going. How would that conversation have gone, guys, if I didn't know his circumstances? Like if I didn't know that he already bought a house, if I didn't know where he was going, if I wasn't able, I would have been on the back foot massively, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also when you're dealing with expired listings, guys, don't assume that their agent went over this information with them because they probably didn't. And it's probably one of the reasons why the house was overpriced and why it expired, right?
I mean,
so go ahead,
yeah.
Randy.
Well, be honest, like how many of you guys are doing a 48-hour market review before you come to the market? I can't see, but anybody? Awesome.
I do. I don't go on. I don't do that unless I do that first.
Okay, that's wicked. Can you see how that also sets me up? Like he's upset now about 600, but you can see how that also sets me up to have the conversations down the road, right? Like about price reductions or whatever. So the second part of this training is MK and I are going to role play for you now. What happens when the offer comes in at 550?
Randy, before you do that, I have some questions, and in no way, shape, or form am I negative. I just I need
we have to be ready to deal with the most negative stuff. Yep.
Yeah, in my experience. So those same buyers could potentially rent out, I'm just going to make up a number, $4,000 a month. What I run into is if I had that conversation, one, are you really prepared to walk out if they say it's 625 or bust? Would you actually walk out the door?
I just don't get attached to the outcome, right? Like if Chad came to me and said, well, I want to go at 625, I'd be like, hey, I want to fight for you based on what we've covered. I've already explained why I think that's going to be a detriment to you in the long run. So if you want me to try 625, how many days do you want to give it at your price before we adjust down so that the buyers don't start negotiating against you because of days on market?
I think where I've run into is conversations where the buyer, sorry about the dog. The buyer says, I can't go below 625. If not, I'll rent it out. Don't want to be a renter, but if I need to rent it out for 2 years, I can. And then if I'm doing this market analysis 2 days before it goes, that means I've already paid for possibly a pre-inspection video and pictures. So I'm into it for a fair amount of money myself. So
you might decide to do
625. Would you say, okay?
Yeah, what I'm going to encourage you guys to do is not create a pricing battle when you're like 30 days out or 21 days out. I would say get the listing signed. But based on what you're saying, Randy, if you might decide instead of doing a 48-hour market review, maybe you do a 7-day market review so that you get agreement from the seller on price before you start spending money. Yep, that's completely feasible. I think it's important to know, like, a lot of people are just reactive and they don't really mean it. They're not actually going to rent it out. They're just reactive with you about you giving them advice that they don't want to hear.
Right.
You have to ask them, okay, you want to rent it out? Or do you want a market analysis on the rent? Who are you going to hire for a property manager? Do you know what the market will be doing in year 3? Right? Because if you move out and you lose your capital gains exemption, is this a good longer term play? I know this is really difficult information for you short term, Randy, because the perception is that you may have lost money. But the
Right.
truth is that we might want to lock in your perceived loss versus rolling the dice on a future market that we have no control over. What are you more comfortable with?
I like what you're saying. Oh God, I really am annoyed by this dog. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So in that scenario, the buyer is saying 625. I like that you came back with how many days are you prepared before we lower it?
Yep.
Essentially, you said it better than I just did, but same thing. Then if the buyer says, okay, 30 days, my price, would you list it at his price or would you say
yeah.
600?
yeah. Yeah, if their motivation is high, guys, we need to fight for them and what they want, right? And I'll be honest, there's been times where I've been like, this isn't going to sell for that price. And then it does. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad I tried your price, right? Like the whole point is to be a champion for their goals. But in order to be a champion for their goals, I have to really understand what those goals are and what their motivation is. So the thing that you didn't see that put me in a good position to have a very direct conversation with Chad was the preamble where I already knew his entire situation. And I'm not giving him the advice that's good for me because I need that listing this week because I don't. I'm giving him the advice that's good for him based on everything that he's told me about his financial goals. And that's what differentiates me from probably 80% of the agents out there, right? They need the commission more than they need to give the right advice. I need to give the right advice more than I need the commission because of the stage that I'm at in my career. And the more I'm able to stand on that and give the right advice always, the more trust and credibility I have and the more I'm hired, the more I'm called upon to give my opinion in this situation. Because there's nothing more powerful than saying to you, because if you, let's say you said, no, I'm not listing it for a penny less than 650. I would probably honestly say, well, Chad, I don't want to be the agent that you're upset with because I couldn't get you the results that you're looking for. So I have given listings away where I've been like, I don't think this isn't going to do either one of us any favors by listing at a price that is not supported in the market. I would much rather save my reputation and my relationship with you and have you list with somebody else and then come back to me if there's an opportunity for me to help you guys. Fair enough?
Randy, I really like your attitude. I think one of the hardest things for me is that I am such a people pleaser that I'm very empathetic. So I understand when somebody wants a price,
which
whether
is
it's artificial or not. And I really like how you present yourself.
You have to make it about them. This is not about me. It's never about me. And this is where like we're therapists, to some degree, we're therapists and consultants more than we are salespeople.
Right.
But of course, our sales skills are what helps us get our clients to accept the advice that we're giving them as consultants and therapists.
I like it. You're very, very good.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Randy,
any other questions?
I would think one thing that you should think too is like, they're coming to you because you're the professional, right? That's why you're there. So just make sure that you carry yourself like that too. You're the professional, that they need your advice on that.
MK,
I think that's a really good point.
Just to back off of that.
I love what you say, the appraiser. So it's not just the price, it's will it appraise.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I sometimes say, hey, Mr. Seller, do you realize I have to sell your home 3 times? I have to sell it to the buyers in the marketplace, the agents that are representing those buyers, and the appraiser. Right? So as much as I want to shoot for the moon and get you that massive price, I also have to help you keep your feet on the ground in the realm of possibility and make sure that we're sticking to the facts so that you get the results that I promised you.
So let's.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
We can hear you now.
Oh, perfect.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Can we just keep this
Keep going?
moving
I'll
really
stay
quickly?
on. I'll stay on to answer more questions about that one. If you guys want to write your questions down, MK and I want to go into what happens when the offer comes in at 550 now. Okay.
So I think oftentimes we're seeing this, we're seeing this a lot in this market. So Randy and I talked about earlier, a year plus ago, any offer that came in essentially was like, you're going, anywhere from $15,000 to $100,000 over asking price. You're waiving everything. Now we're in a situation where we can actually negotiate, put together a strong offer and fight for the buyers, right? So we're talking about a buyer in this situation. Let's just say Randy's listing her home for, or her listing for $600,000. Now, a lot of buyers have that need to negotiate. Now, Randy's conversation that we just had was in this market right now, what makes more sense, right? At the end of the day, it always comes down to payment. As a buyer, there's a common objection and it's always payment. How do I afford this home, right? So if they're approved for $600,000, but really the payment that they want is that $500,000 range, a lot of these buyers are coming in saying, listen, I want to offer $50,000 off of asking price, but they don't really understand what goes into that. So is it really they want 50 grand off or do they want a lower payment, right, Randy?
Yep.
So in a scenario right now, I'm going to share my screen and I want everybody to be able to see this because whether you have a buyer or whether you have a seller, we're still having the same conversation, right? Is it price that they want or is it really coming down to payment?
Let me role play the conversation just before I call you, MK, to figure this out. So Amanda, be my buyer's agent, okay? I'm going to call you Bring.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Amanda, I just got this offer from your clients. I've got this on the Linwood property, right? We're on at 600. I saw your offer came in at 500, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, awesome. As I prepare to present this offer to my sellers, could you please tell me what it is? I want to be able to sell you guys because obviously the number is not what my clients are looking for, right? So I want to be able to sell your buyers in the most favorable light. Will you tell me what they love about the house?
They really loved that the property was a nice size lot for the neighborhood and they actually have a family friend who lives down the street. So that's the location is really what they love about it.
Okay, awesome. So did you guys hear that? So they want to be in this neighborhood. They want that lot. Okay, cool. Okay. Hey, Amanda, I really appreciate that. Any reason that you guys came in where you did price-wise?
I mean, we were looking at some of the comps as well, and we toured maybe 6 other homes, and this one was kind of in the middle range of their price, what they could afford.
Okay, that's good to know. And I saw your pre-approval letter came in with MK Bruce on it, right? Guild Mortgage.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Excellent. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. I'm going to put this all together. I'll probably be presenting my clients today at around 4 o'clock.
All right. Thanks, Randy.
All right. Thank you. Okay. MK, Bring.
Hello, this is MK.
Hi, MK. It's Randy Zackley calling. Hey, I've got an offer from Amanda at Weller's clients on my listing in Linwood. Just wanted to check in. Are these guys fully pre-qualified?
Yeah, we have them completely underwritten. It looks like we can close in 15 days if we need to, so whatever it takes to win the deal.
Oh my gosh, beautiful. Okay, and so they're qualified up to what?
Up to 600,000.
600,000. Awesome. Okay, and they're comfortably qualified at that number. Oh, let me ask you: if income and assets have been verified?
Everything's verified. They're
Present
through
full?
underwriting. Yep.
Sounds like okay. It's a great offer. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time. Now, I've got quite a delta here between the offer that they've put forward and what my sellers are looking for. Do you think there's an opportunity for us to massage this with closing costs?
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, it's going to come down to payment is what they're looking for right now. So we talked about maybe like a seller credit or anything like that.
Okay.
You have to get that payment down for sure.
So they're really payment sensitive.
Absolutely.
Fair enough. And have you talked to them about a 2-1 buy down?
I have presented it.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So we'll cut this call, guys. Okay, now MK, take over.
Yeah. So oftentimes, just so you guys know, so in that situation, in that specific call, I'm always going to make sure that, let's just say that Charlene's my buyer's agent that I'm working with on this transaction. I'm going to talk to Charlene before I have that call with the listing agent, because Charlene might have already talked to the buyer and said, listen, no matter what, we're going to go up to 550 or whatever. So I'm not going to reach out to the listing agent and say, oh, absolutely, we can go up to 600,000. I don't know why the buyer wants to do this, right? So I'm always going to be on the same page as you to fight for the buyer, okay? But at the same time too, if this buyer and Charlene is saying, listen, we want to win this transaction, I'm going to figure out whatever it takes on my side to help win the transaction as well. Does that make sense to everybody? So in that case, we might need to get creative. So when I'm working with Charlene as our buyer, right, or Amanda in this scenario right now, and the agent as the agent, we're gonna look at this. So I want everybody to take a look and let me know when this is up.
We see it.
Okay,
We see
so I want everybody to look at this. So when Randy and I were talking, we were saying a year ago, let's just say the rates were at 3.5%. Okay, so if you came in, I'm sorry, I need to update that. We updated it to 4.5%. My
Yeah.
apologies. Okay.
Okay.
So a year ago, they were at 4.5%. So last year you buy at 600,000, the payment's $3,007. Okay. Today's market is 7 1/8. So today you buy the same house, you're buying it for about $800 more. Is everybody on the same page with that? So right now we have a buyer, Amanda's buyer is saying, listen, I want this house. I'm pre-approved to 600,000, but I really have to get this payment down. What do I do? So there's really two options. It's either reduce the price of the house or we do a buy down program. Okay. So what Randy was saying is like, okay, if I reduce the price of the house $50,000, that takes my payment down to $35.39 a month. Okay. That's $50,000. So now we either have our listing agent hat on or a buyer's agent hat on. At the end of the day, our buyer, Amanda, wants a lower payment. At the end of the day, Randy's seller wants to reduce the price as least amount as possible. Okay. So if we're right around $11,000, we do a 2-1 buy down. That takes the payment down to $31.88 for the first year. Okay. We know in this interest rate, in this market right now, these rates are going to change within the next year, right? So we have relief of $620 a month from just buying it with today's market. Okay. Or we reduce the price $50,000 and only reduces the payment about $270. So now we have a delta here that we can work with the listing agent or as a buyer's agent. We're giving our buyer a reason to buy right now versus a reason to negotiate back and forth. And Randy, before we get going on this, here's a quick thing that we're going to put this back up here. Okay. Here's a quick thing. There's a need to negotiate right now. Can everybody agree with that? Buyers just
100%.
need to negotiate. Okay?
Absolutely.
I had a buyer yesterday, underwritten, pre-qualified, low debt to income ratio, high credit score, just a great buyer. He puts in a full price offer. He asked for $15,000 in closing. Okay. And Randy and I just talked about this. He asked for $15,000 in closing. The listing agent's doing her job. She says, you know what? I've talked to the seller and we're going to accept this deal. If you reduce that $15,000 down to $7,500. Okay. And we won't look at any other offers coming in today. We'll take this right now. And the buyer said, you know what? I don't think that you have any other buyers coming in. I don't want to do that. I just want to stick to that original deal. Well, 2 other offers came in when he said that. And now
He lost the house.
renegotiated his deal to have 0 closing costs. So you mean to tell me you're going to risk losing this house for $7,500, right? That's what you're telling me right now. But what Randy was saying earlier is we need to be able to have this conversation with our buyer and let them know, are you willing to walk away from this house for $7,500? Does that make sense to everybody? Having that candid conversation with them.
That makes
Okay.
a lot of sense.
Sorry, Randy, I just wanted to tell that.
Can you put your graph back up, MK? Because we're gonna role play out the rest of this phone call now. This is part 2 of my call with the lender.
Perfect.
Okay, so MK, you said that they're really payment sensitive, right?
Yep.
So at 550, what does their payment look like with their current rate?
39. Yep.
35.39. Okay. Hey, what does it look? Just out of curiosity, MK, what does it look like if we extend them a buy down of say $11,000? What if they divided that $11,000 across 24 months?
So that's going to give them roughly, for that year one is going to give them roughly about $31.88 on a payment.
Okay, so let's just just pencil this out with me. If I countered them at say 600 and I gave them a $15,000 or $11,000 credit toward closing costs to use as the buy down, would that help with their payment stress?
Oh, it would be huge. It would be huge.
Okay, and they still have the down payment at $600,000, right?
They do.
Okay, so I could actually, it sounds like with that $11,000 to $15,000, I could actually buy their payment down further than the offer that they wrote me at 550.
It would actually help a ton because we can buy down the actual interest rate and do the buy down.
Cool. So can I count on you to present to present that scenario to this agent and those buyers so that we can get this deal together and I can work with you on this transaction?
Absolutely. As soon as we hang up on this, I'll be able to present this.
I'm so excited. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write an offer at 5. I'm gonna write a counter offer at 600, giving them a $15,000 credit toward closing costs, and then you guys are gonna massage it with with Amanda and the buyers. Fair enough?
Perfect.
Rock on.
So I think even bigger than that too, guys, is what the listing agent just did was say, hey, basically you have this deal if we do this, right? So that's even huge to go back and build that ether with your buyer and say, listen, this is our deal to lose. Here's what we have on the table, right? And that's a great conversation to be in position where, hey, we're not going to go look at those other deals because it's our deal to lose.
Yep. So to MK's point, I'm going to be Amanda now, and I'm going to go back to the buyers and I'm going to say, hey guys, so good news. Doesn't seem like we're in a lot of competition, so we're not going to have to go above list price. The bad news is these sellers are really attached to their sticker price, but they do hear you on interest rates and they want to help you making sure that that payment is, affordable. So what they're actually suggesting is that they give you a credit towards your closing cost to buy your payment down for the next 2 years to give you time to get refinanced into a more attractive interest rate. But you can get into the house that you want on the street that you want with the yard that you want if you're willing to accept these terms.
And the biggest thing too, and then I would follow up with that conversation and say, here's your buy down program right here. Here's everything works. Let's just say in 6 months, these rates go down. Guild has a program right now that anything you lock in right now, when we refinance you, there's 0 lender fees. We want to make sure we take care of you. There's 0 lender fees.
Amazing.
Every time you make your mortgage payment, you make your mortgage payment to Guild Mortgage. So anytime you have questions, you'll just call or text me. The biggest thing is when you refinance, all of that credit that's in that escrow account goes to pay your loan amount down. You do not lose that credit. So now we're giving them reasons to buy and to accept this credit. Does that make sense to everybody? Sense. Perfect.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Perfect. Any questions on this, on how to present this? Everybody's on the same page with that? So
Yeah, I have a question. That's actually a bit of the pushback that I've been getting with the 2-1 buy down is the uncertainty of future rates, in this circumstance that they're worried that the interest rates, they won't be able to refinance into a better rate. So they're not inclined to take the 2-1s.
I totally get it. So Sarah, so what I hear you is your clients are nervous about their ability to refinance in the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, but they do still really want this house.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't I give you $800 for 3 years?
What is that? I don't know what that means. $800.
So instead of a 2-1 buy down, I'm going to give you a 3-1 buy down. So I'm going to give you $800 towards the payment for 3 years instead of 2. Because again, guys, the alternative is my sellers take a $50,000 hit.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to take so I offered them a 2-1 buy down stands for 2 years to buy down the rate. So I'm actually going to give you 3 years to buy down the rate. So this 28,000. Okay. So I can give you, so again, I've saved my client 22,000.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
yeah. So does that work for you? Or because here's the thing too, is like, again, if my sellers are highly motivated and they want to take that offer, I'm going to get out of the way, right? I'm not going to use my ego to like stand in the middle of this situation. But if my sellers want to squeeze their equity out, and I think Sarah's clients want the house bad enough, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to broker this deal until I can put it together.
Can I say one more thing too, Sarah?
Yeah.
So right now, the market is trying to hold house prices down, right? The only way to do that is to raise what?
Interest.
Interest rates, right? So now when these interest rates goes down, what's going to happen to these home prices?
They're going to go up.
They're going down.
They're going to go up. So you can refinance an interest rate. You cannot refinance the sell price. Okay.
Right.
So
That's
anything
right.
you buy right now, you're locking in, right? So the interest rate's the easy part. That's going to get refinanced at some point, right? But
Right.
that house price, that's going to be locked in whatever you buy that house for, right, Randy?
Yeah. But let's go the next step with your buyers, Sarah. So it sounds like you guys are concerned that you won't be able to refinance the house within 2 years, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest concern.
Okay. So if I can go back to the listing agent and get you 3 years of comfort, does it not still make sense to you guys to quit renting, put your name on a house that you can live in, that you can modernize, that you can renovate, that you can put down roots and enjoy, and you can start writing off your expenses and your mortgage interest deduction if the government doesn't take that away, and just really start your path on start yourself on the path to home ownership.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because I don't know what's going to happen with the rates in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, but I do know, and it's categorically proven, and you can ask any financial planner, that real estate is a good investment, isn't it?
Right. So am I right in thinking that buyers will not get approved based on that buy down? They're getting approved to make sure that they can afford the mortgage, even if they don't refinance in 2 to 3 years from now?
Say that one more time. They're getting pre-approved on the loan.
Right, for an affordable, so how do I ask this?
She's asking if there's a situation where on month 37, her clients can't actually afford the property anymore.
Right.
But I believe that the Fannie and Freddie guidelines require that they qualify without the buy down. The buy down is a private thing. Like the way they use that credit is privately negotiated between the buyer and seller. And what I will tell you guys is it requires some discipline on behalf of your buyers too, because if they take that credit and they piss it up the wall, or they buy a car or whatever, that's irresponsible on their behalf, but they still qualify for the payment that they're getting. MK can't sell them a mortgage payment that they don't qualify for. They just need to be responsible about how they allocate their monthly income so that they're living within their payment and not being house poor.
Okay, and then my own
payment, but you got another thing too, Sarah, like we were talking about, is we're the professional, right? So you're explaining this. How many people here are homeowners? Raise your hand if you're a homeowner. The very first home I bought was $290,000. I told my wife, I don't know how I'm going to make this payment, right? So when you're explaining this to your buyers, like, this is a perfect program to stair step into it, budgeting around a payment, but you have the ability to let it increase year by year for the first 2 years. This is the way to budget around it.
You go back to when rates were at where they're at right now. You show them the example of what that house was selling for back when rates were that high. You show them what that house is worth now. Also, you put them back in the situation when the market was great, right? What was your challenge when the market was great? The challenge is, if you found a home that you liked, that you could afford, chances are you couldn't buy it. Right? Because you were competing with 10 other people, or you were going to pay $100,000 more for that same house, right? So either way, you're paying for it. You're paying for it on the front end, or you're paying for it on the back end. The great news is, if you buy it now, you always have the chance to refinance. What you don't have a chance to do is go back and rewrite that equity. So you're going to pay for it anyway.
Well, what I also liked about what MK said was, because guys, we've all been there. Anybody who owns a house is like, oh, when I signed on the dotted line to become a homeowner and I committed to that mortgage for 30 years, it was scary. But at the same time, MK, what's your $260,000 home that you were worried about the payment on? What's it probably worth today?
It just sold for $750,000. Holy
crap. So guys, that is why we buy real estate. And you can confidently say this to your clients as well. I remember that feeling. You're perfectly right about that. That's 100% true. Let me show you the silver lining, which is when you make the commitment to make that payment, you've actually bought an asset that appreciates on average between 4 and 6% every single year. And what's amazing about real estate versus any other investment vehicle is you don't even have to pay for the whole thing. We're buying a $600,000 house and you're only putting $120,000 in, but your $600,000 home is appreciating at 4 to 6%. Well, 6 times 6 is $36,000. So how soon do you want a free savings plan to get into a $600,000 house that's going to appreciate like that year on year?
So good.
How do you feel about the payment now? In fact, let's take the $36,000 and divide it into 12 months. You're actually making $3,000. So you're living in your house for $500 a month. Are you living in your rented place for that much?
That's awesome.
Perspective. It's the power of perspective, right?
On you,
Any other questions?
Last question.
Right.
Is there a calculator somewhere that I can be showing, or should I just be sending them over to MK to explain?
This is good. Actually, both. So Jamal has a listing in Tacoma. We just did the same scenario that Randy just talked about. Put that together in a presentation like this that he's going to send out to anybody that toured the property. Another strategy, Randy, when you were talking about going through Showtime, anybody that came through that property, you should be sending something like that. Reach out to me and just say, hey, MK, we just lowered the price to this, or we're thinking about a seller credit. I'll put together a presentation. You can send it out to anybody that came through that property because it's their fiduciary responsibility to reach out to that client, at least get them that information. And if they're like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'd take this property for 3,500, not 4,000. Now we actually got a viable contract on that house or option.
So question, this is Shelley. Do we have anything like that for jumbo loans?
No, so just up to 891, 250 loan amount.
That's in Snohomish County.
King, Pierce, Snohomish.
Okay.
Which is $1 million house, right? So if you're buying a house that's over $1 million, you should have other assets and MK can work some other magic for you.
Yeah.
And MK,
Well, I'm
you're
not
gonna give
gonna
us a
do
breakdown of,
anything.
you're gonna give us a breakdown of your loan programs and how we can use those loan programs to creatively provide solutions to our buyers and sellers, right?
Yeah, and the biggest thing right here too, guys, and not the biggest thing, but another thing we just came out with is a list and lock. And Randy and I were talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
How many people would see a benefit that when you go for your listing presentation, you tell the seller that as soon as we sign this and we go live, we're going to lock that day's interest rates for that property. So any conventional VA or FHA buyer that comes to buy this property, we're locked in. So if the rates go up, it doesn't matter. We're locked into this day. Now, the benefit is if the rates go down within the next 60 days, you can float the rate down on this property. Would that be a benefit to anybody by raising?
That's
their hand?
huge.
Yeah, that'd be
So
huge.
we just
And
came
If you
out,
got-
really worried about that.
we just came out with a list and lock program. So please reach out to me. I can get you all the information. Your seller has
Put that in your
$1,500
pre-listing
to lock
package
in.
now.
It's $1,500 to lock in, and the seller just has to agree on giving a 2% closing credit at closing. But it locks in that day's rate sheet on your listing for 60 days. So if anything happens when the rates go up, it does not matter. Your property's locked in, and if it goes down, you get a one-time float down. It's a freaking killer.
And it's not really if, right? I mean, we already know that rates are gonna go up another 75 basis points according to rumors, right?
They are going up.
Did you say today at 2,000?
2%.
2%.
2%, okay.
Yep,
They have to get their loan through you though, right? They have to get it through Guild.
yep. Which
Can we get
tried.
like a printout or something of that to put in our pre-listing packet? I like what Cooley just said. That
Yep,
would
the
be
pre-listing
fire.
packet is when you present it, for sure.
I will get.
Michelle, maybe we
so
could do a
many-
co-founder's one pager that we could go out to everybody
Yeah.
and they can just pull it right into their listing agreement.
Yep.
Well, I'll get that
That'd
from
be
everybody,
awesome.
and then we can post it, we'll share it with everybody.
Hey, guys, is this helpful?
Yes.
This is great.
No, do you have tools to create urgency with your buyers?
And sellers.
Do you have
Yes.
tools to create urgency with your sellers?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Okay, go look at your warm list and set some appointments and pull some people off the fence and into the market, out of your pipeline and into your pending pipeline as soon as possible, okay?
We have a call blitz today, right?
Really good.
Yes, we've got a call blitz after this call, actually, and it's a 3-hour dial session for just that. So the link will be in the chat group. How many of you guys are going to that?
Go make some money.
Hey, Michelle, really quickly, I want to close on this. Michelle, can you pull up that picture of that guy, please?
That guy,
That guy.
It's really good
Headshot.
instructions.
How many of you guys know who this guy is?
Zero idea.
Glenn Ross.
What if I told you his name was Joe McVicker? Do you guys know who he is?
Mm-mm.
No.
Anybody?
Nope.
Okay, so this guy
No.
was a wallpaper installer, right? And he invented this little white goo, right? That he used to use to clean up the walls, right? Back before electricity, you know, they used heated stoves and stuff like that. Lots of soot to clean up the wall. When they switched over to electricity and gas, he had no use for his white goo. It just so happened that his sister was a grade school teacher, right? And his sister found that these kids really like to play with this white goo, right? And so she suggested that they put color in it, you know? They put color in it. And that turned into what? Anybody? Michelle, you want to pull it up?
Play-Doh.
That turned into
There
Play-Doh,
it is.
right? You guys all see that Play-Doh?
Mhm.
It's really interesting, right? Because when I see that Play-Doh now, after I heard this story, what I see now is proof positive that we are all just one small adjustment away from making our business work, from making our lives work, right? And sometimes that small adjustment is just massive action, right? Is just putting the work in on your skill set while everybody else is, okay? So if you want to take that business that you've got right now and you want to turn it into something massive, like a Play-Doh empire, take massive action today, do what you need to do, invest in you, invest in your skill set, buy in at the dip, the perceived dip, and watch what happens. Guys, thank you for joining. I'll see you guys on the call blitz. Let's go.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.
Thank
guys.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Okay.
Randy. Good job, guys.
MK, I have a question.
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
he's already gone. I have a
No, I'm
question
here.
too.
You can't do that after my Play-Doh story. It was
I'm
the
sorry.
perfect finish.
It's just a quick question. If so the 2-1 buy down, does that money go directly into the buyer's pocket and they choose whether or not they want to
No.
put it towards their
Great
loan?
question. It goes into an escrow account and automatically gets applied to the payment every single month. Now, the benefit is when that loan gets paid off or refinanced, that money goes towards the loan amount. So it buys that down. So the buyer does not lose those funds.
Okay, so there is no like frivolous spending that they could do technically.
No, you
Like
cannot
couldn't
get
be like,
funds
oh, we
back
want to
in a-
upgrade our house.
In a mortgage transaction, you cannot get cash back like that. So it has to go towards the transaction.
Okay. MK, can I ask you a question?
Yes, Susan?
Is there any way I can share my screen? I'm in Florida and I have a question. What is unused buy down credited in the event or a refinance or payoff? So if they pay, refinance within 2 years and we get them a 3-1, then they'll get that credit, right?
That money will go towards the buying the loan amount down.
Okay. And mine isn't like even across the board. It's, all depending on the first year, second year, third year. It's all different. Is that normal?
Yeah, so it basically stair steps, right? So year one, it would be effectively like, let's just say today's interest rate 7%. So year one, the rate, the payment will be as if there was a 5% rate. Year two would be as if there was a 6% rate. And year 3 and beyond, it would be at that 7%.
Okay, I got 4.5, 5.5, and 6.5,
Yep.
and then the regular is 7.5.
No, it would just go up twice. So it'd be 4.5, 5.5, and then 6.5, year 3 and beyond.
Okay.
Great
Okay,
question.
thank you.
All right, see you guys.
Oh, I didn't ask my question.
Oh, hey, no, you guys.
Hi. So
Hi.
I had a Randy and MK. So this was a great meeting. There was so much stuff that I didn't know I could even do. So this was like, wait, what? So a couple things. We do have a property in Puyallup, and it's really hard. So the 48-hour marketing review we didn't do. This person took a 3-story home that had like 5 bedrooms and made it into a 7-bedroom 4-story home with 2 kitchens. So she added a lot of stuff, and it's really hard to do a CMA. Yeah. So her price initially, when she told us, it was really high. 4 months ago, I think we could have got her that, but now since what's happening in the market, she's giving us a month to sell this house, and we're getting kind of nervous because we're doing a price drop down, and this is week 2, and so this meeting was great. I'm glad we got together, but how do I don't know. I guess I need some help to find buyers and do, the whole, making a deal work and whatnot.
Well, I think one big thing that we talked about is this group is massive, right? So you should definitely be, anytime you have a listing like that, you should highlight whatever the main points are, and everybody in this group should know about it, right? To see if they have a buyer for it. I think that's a great strategy. And then have you been getting a lot of walkthrough or a lot of traffic?
So we got 2 people. So the thing that I've been telling people, it's income generating, because I'm like, live on the top part and rent out the bottom part. Because she wants to rent it out for $5,000 a month, and that's also not realistic. So from this meeting, the way Randy talks, I normally talk like that, but I feel like with sellers, I've kind of like, I don't talk so assertive anymore, but I don't want to offend them. So I'm happy at this meeting because now I can, talk assertively. But no, we've only had 2 showings. They love the property, but they said it was out of their price range. And so I did 2 open houses. And so I don't know, I'm kind of,
Maybe we can present a buy down. I think right now it sounds like your seller is more, they're saying 5,000, that's what they want, instead of like showing them real data. So getting a property manager to see what an average rent would be might be good to present that. But just, again, it's just presenting data, I would say.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
if you want to show a 2-1 buy down, can you send me an email? I'll put my email in here. And then what I'll do is I will put together a presentation on that property for you.
oh my God, I would love that. Yes. So what I can do is I can send you email address and the MLS number if you want to
Please.
take. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Perfect. I look forward to talking to you about that, and I'll put together something for you.
Okay,
I have
perfect.
to ride that train and do the same thing with my listing.
Please send it over.
All right, thank you.
All right, crush today, guys.
Bye, guys.